All right, good evening, everyone. This is Cathexis, and tonight with me, once again, I have Quantum Eraser. We're going to be doing another presentation this evening, and we're going to be taking the topics on of the vacuum of space and the sun, and well, at least what the mainstream understanding of the sun is, what it is, how it works, etc. So before we get into that, how are you doing tonight, John?
Doing just fine, sir. It was a unique day today.
Actually, same here. Yeah, it was a good day for me too. But no, I'm glad we're going over this subject. This one it's almost like the elegance is lost on some of the more scientism fanboys out there. So I'm glad we're gonna be hitting this one hard. Now, I will want to go over just a couple, actually just one or two quick definitions, just so that we get a good understanding of what John's going to be going into. He's going to be speaking about a pressure measurement called torr. And really, it's just a unit of pressure used in measuring partial vacuums. Now, more information you need to know is it's equal to, one of them is equal to 133.32 pascals. Pascals is just another unit of pressure that is used. But don't get bogged down in that. Really, he's just going to be talking about vacuums and well, our atmosphere. So, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in it and let you get into your presentation. So let me go ahead and screen share you, brother.
Okay.
Got you presented to everyone. And I'll stop screen sharing.
All right. Just let me know when it pops up.
All right. Well, I have it on the Hangout screen. Let's see if it comes up on the live. Just one moment, everyone. And I hope everybody's doing well out there for coming out and watching. Let's see. There we go. Everything looks good on the main. So go ahead and get right into it, and then we'll have a little discussion afterwards. And let's hear it.
All right, sir. Well, let's go to the vacuum of space. And this is a special one for me because this goes back to my roots. And they're young roots because I think I've been in this, the flat earth, for about 6 months now. I think it was 6 months or it's coming up. So these are some young roots. And this was the first item that struck me when I was challenged. And I don't know, a lot of people say, they get challenged and they blow it off. It was a similar situation that happened with me, obviously. I was on one of the forums, I was doing my business, and somebody brought up the flat earth. And I can remember it a couple times, over the, just a couple times over like years. So it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't on my radar. But somebody brought it up and they said, go ahead and debunk the flat earth. And I, after I got done laughing, I said, no problem. Give me 5 minutes. Well, obviously that 5 minutes have come and gone. And it was almost immediately, I knew that my laughing position was laughing back at me. And it was absolutely untenable. And the reason why, it was the vacuum of space. This one hit me like a ton of bricks. And after a couple minutes, I said, you know what? I am not going to be able to debunk this. And I couldn't. So I knew immediately that outer space in total, that's NASA, the moon landings, missions, satellites, Hubble, every single last space mission, big bangs, black holes, gravity, I call them gravy waves, cosmic microwave background radiation, and redshift was utter codswallop baloney. Now, these green ones, I knew many, many years before I got into this genre. But all the rest, all these guys, this is just preposterous. And Every pseudoscientist associated with their respective astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology department were all lying psychopaths. I knew it, right? Immediately. Because of this. Here's the conundrum. How can you have a vacuum, space, attached to a non-vacuum, Earth, and still retain the properties of a vacuum and a non-vacuum in the same system simultaneously? In other words, how are you still breathing? It just stopped me right in my tracks. I said, this is over. I knew my life was changing rapidly. So the reason why is this is a stamp on the forehead. Second law, laws of entropy violation. That's it. It's done. The laws of entropy, unless it is hindered purposely. In nature, heat flows from hot to cold always. Energy concentrated to disperse always. High gas pressure to low gas pressure always. That's it. From the entropy site.edu, gas expansion into a vacuum, the mixing of ideal gases or liquids, diffusion, effusion, colligative effects, and osmosis. Each fundamentally involves an increase in entropy due to increased dispersion of energy, due to a greater number of microstates for the particular system involved. From Schneid and Chatterjee in the textbook of medical biochemistry. Thus, the diffusion of solute particles takes place down the concentration gradient, a pressure gradient with respect to partial pressure of gases, until what? Until uniform concentration is achieved. This is better known as equilibrium. So let's have a look at the concentration equilibrium problem. So at sea level, it equals about 760 torr. And interstellar deep space is 10 to the negative 17th torr. Now, listen, like Cathexis was talking about, these are units of measure for pressure. Now, we don't really have to use these because solute concentration and pressure are directly proportional. So it's sort of Mach's Nix. We don't really need those or any other ones. And I'm going to show you that here in a couple minutes. All we need are the numbers. Therefore, uniform concentration at sea level should be approximately 10 to the negative 17th torr. So let's say this little dot right here is the Earth. It's got 760 torr air pressure right near the surface. Everything in here is 10 to the negative 17 torr. I mean, this is a joke. Everything in here, and you got 70, 60 right on the surface on this little dot. I don't think so. But you know, I don't think you have an appreciation for the sheer exponential magnitude of this situation. Like I said, sea level is 760 torr, and interstellar space is 10 to the negative 17 torr. Now listen, I had a high school math teacher tell me that this wasn't that big of a deal because this number right here was so small. Now, I'll tell you what, I was absolutely speechless after he said this. I mean, I don't think I'd have been more shocked if Martians landed in the backyard sporting Ray-Bans, half tees, and Eat Joe's hats. Then started barbecuing ribs, jamming the ELO. So this is why I put this in here. Let me explain this to you. You're going to say, well, duh, John. Geez, oh man, why do you even have to go over this? All right. What I want to show you here is, you see, everything to the left or to the right of this decimal place is an exponential move, either this way or this way. I know everyone's got this. So basically, this 760 is more precisely 760 over 1. It's like a ratio. So interstellar deep space is 10 to the negative 17th torr. So what does this mean? Well, this is more precisely 1 over 100 quadrillions. This zero is in the 100 trillions place. This 1 is in the 100 quadrillions place. Just for scale, there are 1 trillion seconds in 31,709 years. Just to give you a feel for it. So, the part is 760, the whole, the 1. And the part, the 1, over the whole 100 quadrillions. So, 760 towards sea level is basically 760 over 1, or better said, 760 parts in 1 unit, no matter what that is. 1 unit of volume, whatever that is. Compared to 10 to the negative 17th torr at 1 part in 100 quadrillion. I mean, this number is mind-boggling right here. So maybe this will help. Therefore, if I had 2 boxes, I had a sea level box and a vacuum of space box, each having 100 quadrillion cubic centimeters volume. That sea level box would contain 7.6 sextillion particles compared to the vacuum of space box, which got what? 1 particle in the whole box. This is a massive gradient. I mean, it's mind-boggling. So again, uniform concentration. That's what we're looking for, right? Because remember what we said above. The diffusion of solute particles takes place down the concentration gradient. And that's a partial pressure gradient with the respect to partial pressure of gases until uniform concentration is achieved. So at sea level, it should be approximately 10 to the negative 17 torr. That's it. So why isn't it? Well, we all know the answer, right? Somebody give me the answer. Why aren't we at uniform concentration? Well, it's because of the savior, magical gravity. This guy right here, right? That's all you hear. This is the answer to everything. I put this in here as a tribute to the village people for today. Well, not so fast, though. Gravity adheres. This is begging the question fallacy. Which gravity? And please show the mechanism. Right? That's the first thing you got to do. But I'll tell you what. Let me save you some time. Let's scratch that. Because you're whistling past the graveyard. From techtarget.com. A gas is a sample of matter that conforms to the shape of the container. We're going to get back to this one here in a minute. In which it is held and acquires a uniform density inside the container. Even in the presence of gravity, and regardless of the amount of substance in the container. If not confined to a container, gaseous material, also known as vapor, will disperse into space. So, Elvis just left the building and the fat lady's yodeling. If you're following me. So there's no misunderstanding. I don't want any misunderstandings here. From Arthur Eddington in The Nature of Physical World in 1930. If your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope. There is nothing for your theory but the collapse in the deepest humiliation. Let that sink in. Let this one sink in. Because it's over. You come up against the second law, you will lose. Oh, P.S. This is a good one. If you want to get called every name in the book, just ask this. How can you have a gas pressure without a container when the definition of a gas pressure is the pressure of a gas is the force that the gas exerts on the walls of its container? You want to see some mental gymnastics,
Oh
some
yeah.
wall jumping, some name calling.
I'll tell
I'll
you
tell
what,
you
that
what.
one that one is one of my favorite questions to ask scientism folks because they're appalled at the elegance of that one. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
this is yeah. So, um,
Perfect.
but yeah, I ask this to people I just meet on the street. They come knocking at my door, whoever they are. I just ask them this question. They give me that deer in the headlights look.
Yeah, how do we have a air pressure without a container?
Yeah,
That's weird. And they love that gravity. Oh no, no, it's a pressure gradient and all.
yeah,
Yeah.
gravity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gravity has nothing. It has no bearing whatsoever on
It's
gas.
when the realizations come, it you can't unsee what you see. That's the problem.
And the next presentation, we're going to be talking about gravity, and it's. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to get medieval on gravity. I just am because I'm tired of hearing about it. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get medieval. So the next presentation's on gravity. The next presentation we do either next Monday or whether you want to do a presentation before that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, the sun. So this is going to be pretty quick. I mean, back into the second law again. I mean, how many times, over how many subjects does the second law of thermodynamics come up in? Almost every single one of them.
It can, yeah. It actually does. But a
Yeah,
lot of people entropy is beyond some people, I think.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people violate, the laws of entropy in everything they say. I'm so shocked at it. It's not only just the regular Joes. You have that Sohu guy that was interviewed, that was talking about the sun. That was one of the first things he said. He said, "Oh, are you gonna talk about the second law of thermodynamics?" And I'm sitting there, I'm listening. It was Robert Pisano. I was sitting there, yeah, yeah, get him, Robert, get him. But Robert he had an agenda. He wanted to go over a lot of topics and let him off the hook. The guy brought it up himself. I nearly fell off the chair. I said, "Yeah, stay here, stay here." Yep. So this is going to be pretty quick. So the standard model states that the sun is more or less a nuclear reactor. Allegedly has an inner core temperature of 15 million Kelvin. So here's a picture. So you got the core right here. You got the radiative zone. You got the convective zone. So the surface of the sun is the photosphere. Just above the photosphere is the chromosphere. And just above the chromosphere is the corona. So remember, it's 15 million Kelvin in here, and it's 5,800 Kelvin on the surface. So here's a temperature profile. So on the y-axis, we have the temperature in Kelvin. So it goes from 1,000 on this scale to 1 million. And the x-axis is the height above the convection zone. So we have the photosphere here. We have the chromosphere here, and then the corona here. So what I want you to do, so just follow this. So it goes from out here 15. Let's say this is the core of the sun here. It goes from 15 million Kelvin all the way down. We're getting into the photosphere now. So it's dropped. The temperature's dropping down, and it gets to about 5,800 Kelvin. So as you notice, as it starts going towards the chromosphere, it begins to rise, right? And you're saying, uh-oh, there's kind of a little problem here. And it keeps going. And just at the transition point between the chromosphere and the corona, this guy goes rocket man. I mean, parabolic. From what? 10,000 Kelvin to what? 500,000 Kelvin? I mean, this is a rocket shot. And if it keeps going, if you keep this truck going, it goes to 10 million, way out here. So does everyone see the problem here? If you don't, I'm going to show you. So the inner core temp of the sun is 15 million Kelvin, like we said. The outer surface of the sun, the photosphere, is approximately 5,800 Kelvin. On its way to and through the chromosphere, the temperature slowly rises, then goes parabolic from 10K to 150 Kelvin. When nearing the corona, then it goes from 1 million Kelvin to 10 million Kelvin. So what's the problem? Well, I suppose the fairy tale pseudoscience priests collectively missed the lectures on the second law of thermodynamics. Heat really does flow up parabolic hills, I suppose. I mean, this is preposterous. This is tantamount to standing near a wood stove, then moving back 500 meters because it's too hot, then you spontaneously combust. This is what it's tantamount to. So I don't know how to explain this any more simply or more clearly. I really don't. I mean, this is a joke. This thing's a joke. So they're going to need a new Justo story for this one. And this is just icing on the cake. These are the solar winds and the speed of the ionized particles. This is hydrogen and oxygen. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see this. It's real blurry on mine too. This is 1 million miles per hour right here. And this is 2 million miles an hour here. So the bars on the left show the speed of the ionized particles, hydrogen and oxygen, beginning on the surface of the sun, not that fast at all. Then the Mercury right here, Venus, it's getting up to 1 million miles an hour here, and then the Earth. My question is, how is it speeding up? This is tantamount to putting Nolan Ryan on the mound, take the backstop out, have Nolan Ryan fire a fastball, gets to about 9,500 mile an hour as it crosses the plate, goes past the backstop to the concession stand, and it's hitting 110 miles an hour. Then it's in the parking lot at 250. So that's preposterous. I don't know what else to say about that. And they don't have an answer. I've been searching for a long. There is no answer to this. No coherent one, anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's gravity. And this is. I just wanted to finish up with this because I thought it was pretty cool for all the electrical engineers out there. So this is the voltage profile of the sun. As you can see, this is identical. This profile, you can superimpose a solid state PNP transistor right on top of this very profile. It's exactly the same. So I'm just going to leave that out there for you because there's a lot of people talking about this. I think Eric Dollard brought this up one time about the sun being a transistor. And I'm pretty sure that one of his proofs was this slam dunk right here. I mean, what else can you say about this? I don't know. So that's it. Thanks for your ear. This was a short presentation. We didn't get bogged down in the weeds too much because we really didn't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, this is cut and dry stuff.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. And it's very evident once it's pointed out. And yeah, Dollard is definitely somebody that more people need to look into. I know Bassano did an interview with him, which I still haven't gotten around to listening to, but I've seen a lot of Dollard's work and what he's saying that the sun, we don't know what it is, but we know it's a transistor. It's bringing energy out of somewhere, bringing it to us. It fits in.
He had a lot of claims, not only the transistor part, but he told the guy that was interviewing him, he told him as a matter of fact, he goes, that sun's getting its energy from somewhere else. Because and what he was referring to, it was just a transistor. Right? And then he said, that light is not, you aren't seeing any light in that vacuum. Of course, he assumed there was a vacuum there to begin with, which we just pummeled to death above. But he said, you ain't seeing no light out there. So, I mean, he has a lot of claims uh, that I felt that he backed up and he supported. Of course, you're going to have to go to other interviews with him to catch his support for those. And it's been a long time since I've seen the Fasano interview with him. But there you have it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it, and then you apply that information with, if you're looking into like electromagnetic universe theory, the modern explanation of the sun, I've seen kind of a conspiracy theory around it that in the 40s and 50s, when they were figuring out, of course we have the nuclear age and whatnot. I saw a documentary made by Walt Disney. It was an animation of Mr. Sun and how Mr. Sun works. And then basically, the way you just explained it, they did in the mainstream explanation, they did in this cartoon. And they were trying to say that it's, the equivalent of all of these, this many nuclear explosions constantly every second and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And the theory that I've heard, the conspiracy theory around it, is that the fuel industry, the oil industry, influenced the explanation of this because they're trying to present that nature has to burn and explode things, kind of.
Oh,
It's
I see.
it's it's a loose, yeah, it's a loose connection,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I could see them doing it at this level because they don't know what the sun is. And back then, for them to assert that they do just because they understood nuclear fusion is absolutely absurd. If this is projecting one idea onto another just because it's there and that's the best idea at the time. But we still have this idea; it's the reigning idea, and there's a lot of people who dissent against it. Actually, it's not just Dollard. If you even look on YouTube, there's several other very intelligent people who are pointing out that we don't know what the sun is, and we need to answer it better because you can't have an exponential line like that and claim that it's
No,
a
no,
big.
no. This strains to credulity. A third grader can pull this out and just start clobbering it with the Louisville Slugger. I mean, this is ridiculous right here.
Mhm. It
So
is. It is. And it's this is when things have just gone too far. I'm borrowing this phrase a lot from you lately, but they're just creating just so stories. They're
yeah,
they're they're observing something, or
yeah,
they're seeing something, or they understand this or that, and they're putting together, sure, sounds likely at the time. I mean, this was
sure.
all theorized, 70 years ago, 60 years ago, I suppose. But, NASA, this is the damage they've done. If anybody's ever seen that nonsense Soho footage that they put out, it no human being on this planet has ever seen the sun that way. If somebody looks at the sun with a proper solar filter, it is a perfect sphere. It's not even oblate, which is another issue in their model, but it's not a sphere, it's a perfect disc, rather, is probably the best way to put it. And it's got
Mm-hmm.
these little black dots on it, which um, the sunspots. And as it moves in the sky, the black dots rotate on it like a wheel. It's the wheel in the sky. Now, I don't. I have to know if it vibrates a bit. Do you know? Because
The
I know the moon.
wheel in the sky. Wasn't that a Journey song?
Yeah, it was. They were talking about the moon and the sun, and because they do. If you were to observe it, same with the moon. It rotates 90 degrees as it from the moment it rises. And this is a perspective thing. This is just from your particular perspective looking at it. And the same with the sun. But you see, in their model, the sun has to be spinning, correct? In the
I,
mainstream heliocentric model, or is it stationary?
to be perfectly honest with you, Texas, I got to this part of the model and I started laughing. So anything beyond this part of the model is fairy tale to me because this is a fairy. I just stopped. There's no sense of me chasing fallacies. I remember I told you it's one of my refrigerator rules. I have more important things to do with my time.
Let me read this real quick. I just typed in,
Yeah,
does the sun rotate on its axis?
Go ahead.
Because it is a gas, it does not rotate like a solid. The sun actually spins faster at its equator than at its poles. The sun rotates once every 24 days on its equator, but once every 35 near its poles. We know this by watching the motion of the sunspots and other solar features across the sun. Now, the sunspots are pretty consistent when you look at solar filter images. Now, I'll have to do a little bit more research and to see if the face of the sun does change in that regard, but I'm pretty sure that those black sunspots are there pretty permanently. But I could be wrong. I want to put that out there. But you're right. You get so far into it and you're like, wait a second, this is nonsense. Why am I
Yeah,
even looking at it even more?
yeah. Like I told you, there has to be consistency and the contingent necessary facts. I keep on saying this because it's one thing that I always try to focus on. It's almost natural to me to do it with everything. And just like I told you about the Humpty Dumpty story. If you're telling me a story, the fable about Humpty Dumpty, and in the midst of spinning your yarn, you let it be known that we have known nothing but pure anarchy. So when you get to the part where all the king's horses and all the king's men, I can dismiss the whole yarn, the whole fairy tale, as soon as you say that, because you just contradicted yourself. You can't have anarchy and you can't have kings at the same time. So I don't need to listen to any more of your story. I just stop you right there and go clean the bathroom.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Once you find some such glaring flaws and issues with
Mm-hmm.
it, it's pretty easy
Yeah.
to the rest of it becomes a fairy tale. Now, quickly, I would like to add, Charlie did come in and make a statement about what I was just talking about. It says the sun is spinning, and this can be seen by watching the sunspots. The sunspots will disappear at one side and reappear on the other. The sunspots do come and go, and they last for weeks or months. So, like I said, they as we see it every single day,
Mm-hmm.
because it takes so long for them to spin, 24 days and 35 days respectively. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's probably where I got that idea. But yeah, you can definitely see it, and as it goes in the sky above you, those sunspots do move, and you can tell at well, I'm saying the sun moves as a wheel, so to speak. It goes 90 degrees from
Hey, that's
sunrise
what
to
Journey
sunset.
said, man.
Yeah,
He said,
Journey
he
was
said,
right. They're telling us.
hey, hey, he said the wheel in the sky keeps it turning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what was the other one? Oh, it's a Beatles song, but it says the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and in his eyes sees the world going round. That's such a good song. And then there was another one. Gosh, I can see for miles and miles and miles. Who was that
Yeah, the
one?
Who?
The Who. They I think they knew something was up too.
That's
Anyways,
an old one, man. That's off Meaty, Beady, Big and Bouncy. That's one of the first albums I ever got.
hey man, it's a fantastic song.
I'm,
Even
I'm
still.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm dating myself big time here. You already know that, though.
But yeah, it's these are just things we all have to look into. Ask yourself, how in the hell can such a vacuum exist uh, within the same connected to an atmosphere such as ours? It just doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
And you would have to do more mental acrobatics and more explaining this away and explaining that away. And the modern explanations are not they're not good enough to deny the second law of thermodynamics. So what was that
Yeah.
quote you had in there? That
Yeah. It was
if
from Arthur Eddington.
yeah,
That was back in the day, boy, 1930 or something.
said if your idea or theory goes against the second law of thermodynamics, and then it is
Yeah, this
it will let's see collapse in the deepest humiliation. So
yeah, you can't you can't go against this. Any of your claims have to line up with the second law. Just that's it.
yeah, it's but like I said, the elegance is lost on some folks. So
Well,
uh
they're whistling past the graveyard, brother.
Yeah, I mean, negative 17 torr is the vacuum of space connected to an atmosphere.
Yeah, you can't. No, you can't. You
How
can't.
are
You
we
can't
still
do that.
breathing?
Yeah, you can't. You can't. Nope.
So yeah, just think about it, folks. People who are out there, disagreeing or haven't thought about this before, really sit down and ask yourself, how could a vacuum of that power exist adjacent to a atmosphere of ours? So all you got is gravity, and that's not a very good answer, especially after next week
Oh
when
no, man.
we will be going over uh, which gravity. You want to say gravity for your answer all the time? Well, we'll go over and find out which gravity you might be talking about.
Oh,
So,
that'll get some name calling too. That one started some heavy name calling. People saying, "What? What? Why does it matter?" Oh
mhm.
my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, they do that. And, it is what it is. People, you're either going to think about this differently or you're not, folks. We can't hold your hands after a certain point. We're putting the information out there, and I think we've done a pretty decent job. I think John's done an excellent job at presenting these ideas. And we haven't, have you had anybody take you up on these ideas yet in the comment section? I
No.
know Rhetoric and Discourse tried to make a video hit piece on it, and
Well, have people go over there and then check out the message board, and
yeah,
and and
for sure.
and then you make the call yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check out Rhetoric and Discourse video. I like Rhetoric. He's a nice guy. We've had some conversations before. He's not a dick like most of those other guys are over there in discussions. Well, he's not as bad. It's a scale, I figure. But yeah, he John took him to the woodshed. We'll just put it that way.
Well, there was a
Um,
bunch of people that went on there and decided to chime in.
mm. Yeah, I
So
think Charlie was over there too.
we'll just who?
Good old Charlie. He was in our chat. He's in our hangout tonight. He's in the
Charlie
chat.
who?
Just Charlie, the host, Ray.
Uh,
Some.
uh,
I know you guys have a little back and
so,
forth.
yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to say anything here. Um,
Hey guys, you got to give it to us. At least we're respectful to the dissenters. You know what I mean? Anyways,
he has my last message, so
here, let me ask you a quick question. A
sure,
friend of mine, Spec out here, wants to know because we brought up the word gravity. Just
sure.
off the top of your head, he says, can you ask if how gravity started on Earth?
Oh yeah,
Now,
that was a good one. Somebody now, and that's a good question. Now let me ask you another question. How did the air pressure start on Earth?
it's a
That
very good
line,
question.
it's the same. It's the same angle.
Because how do you have pressure without a container? Because if you look at the definition, which you just showed, of air pressure, it says the physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. But if you look at air pressure, it specifically, it says, let me see. Um, Gosh, go back to where's it in your,
Right here.
oh, okay, yeah, there we go. The pressure of a gas is the force that the gas exists on the wall of the container.
The gas exerts on the walls of its container.
So, what wall are we talking about when we're talking about the atmosphere? About Earth? It's just something to think about. The mainstream answer is gravity, but like I said, next week we're gonna we're gonna answer that one.
No, we already answered the gravity part because.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I think I went too far.
Mm.
This one from Tech Target. See, we're going to be dealing with gravity on its own merits, not dealing with this specifically because I really don't, because I just dealt with it. So, a gas is a sample of matter. It conforms to the shape of the container in which it is held and acquires a uniform density. I don't know the reason why I even have to cite a source for this. Most of these things that I'm citing sources for, I was forced to, because people get that
citation,
don't,
please.
yeah, cite source. Okay, I don't even, for 90% of the things, the items that we discuss here, I shouldn't have to cite a source.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's
but I do it just to be complete. But come
yeah,
on, people.
it's funny.
I got to cite sources. People telling me that the atmosphere is spinning with the Earth. Come on.
Yeah, there's that's what I think there's a big push to really understand our Earth, our cosmos, and we're breaking away from the hold of the indoctrination that we've had. I'm all for higher education. I'm all for uh, learning, especially technical skills of engineering and being a technician, and learning higher trades, and even software development. All of these things require lots of education, lots of experience, and they require a particular type of person and mind to be able to do it. And I have tons of respect for it. So I want to make that clear. When I say indoctrination, I'm speaking of pushing these scientism beliefs, sneaking them in to the science curriculum, or really they're snuck into society and mainstream media all the same. These memes that of what our cosmos is like, where people are just believing it on faith. Nobody stops and thinks about the vacuum of space in relation to its adjacent Earth. Nobody thinks about, what the sun really is. And we've been conditioned and indoctrinated to
Now,
not think like that, to
now
not critically think.
they believe it blindly, not with faith. Remember, we
Oh
defined
yeah,
that before.
blind faith. Excuse me, excuse me. Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. it's but
You're welcome.
it's absolutely obvious that we have what we have on our hands. And and I've talked about it before, but C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley and these guys were warning us of this. They were absolutely warning us of this. And they may have done it in a hyperbolic way. Huxley did, but honestly, we're not that far away. The state of we're damn near a scientific dictatorship. I'm just going to put it that way. So this is the
No,
reason why I
no,
speak up about this
no,
stuff.
we're in a pseudo-scientific
Well,
dictatorship.
excuse me. Yeah, that's essentially what they're saying. That's the term they coined. But yeah, this is scientism. This is belief systems without knowledge of why they believe them. They're prostrating themselves at the feet of the new pseudoscience high priests. And we need to wake up. Everybody needs to go tell everybody, hey, do you believe in the Big Bang? Why? Hey, do you believe in, evolution as the
Well,
way we came here?
see, your question gives the game away, because what are you asking? Do you believe?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's actual science, following the scientific method, with scientific hypotheses, with independent and dependent variables that I have to cite sources for,
That's where
when a
the
fifth
biggest
grader knows
problem
what they
is, John.
are.
That's what the
And,
biggest problem is, John, is the
and
fact that they don't know the difference. And it's frustrating because we speak this way too much. Well, I know you don't. You're very strict about it. But science says this, and science said that, and science is telling us this. Science ain't telling anybody shit. It is 100% just the method and the body of work the method has constructed, and people have turned it into they've turned it into a noun when it should be a verb. You should be sciencing, doing the scientific method. So most people have to be deprogrammed of that type of paradigm. They have to be able to question it and know the scientific method, and in how to look for, are they applying a particular variable correctly? Are they coming up with a proper hypothesis? Are they doing a proper null hypothesis? But it's funny. They say we lack scientific education,
Who
and
does?
well, no. I'm saying humanity in the West.
Oh,
You do hear this in the media. I actually do have to agree, but they're not even the scientific, paths that they've put out for us. They're creating more pseudoscientists than anything. It's frustrating,
yeah,
but
it's a real gaggle out there. That's for sure.
hopefully we can hopefully we can have an effect. So everybody, please share these videos, make playlists, give them to your family members. Do whatever you can because I'm going to start pushing this channel a lot more. John and I have big plans for some. Gosh, he's probably got 100 presentations lined up. So we might even start doing 2 a week, maybe on Thursday nights. Maybe do one again. So please look out for that. And next week we're going to be tackling gravity, and we'll find out which gravity. Anything else you'd like to add tonight, John?
Nah, you got me fired up.
Good. We'll do another one this week then. That way you could fuel it there. But look, I want to thank everybody for your support. We got a good crowd tonight, and a lot of good questions, and very, very nice behavior out there. No, we didn't get trolled too hard. So thank you everybody for coming. John, always thank you once again, and everyone have a good night.